Hi everyone, this is Branislav, and in this video I'm going to show you how you can create your own custom post grid in WordPress. As you may know, there are already a number of plugin solutions for this in WordPress plugin repository, but with the plugin solution you're limited to a certain layout. And changing that predefined layout to fit your specific needs can sometimes be more trickier than building one from scratch. Another benefit is avoiding yet another plugin in your WordPress site. Plugins are great, but when you have too many of them, they can slow down your site. This is the final result. I used 2017 theme with theme unit test data as content for this example, and with minor adjustments you can implement this into any theme you want. Here we can see how the theme displays blog posts by default. It stacks them on top of each other, quite different than what we created here. As you can see, we have an image thumbnail with text overlay on top that displays the category of the post. Below is the post title itself, and below that we have post date and category repeated here again. I'm going to separate this video into two parts. The first part, which is in continuation of this video, will guide you through creating an HTML CSS structure, and the second part will be a separate video that will guide you through implementing HTML CSS structure into WordPress. I'm inside my terminal window, and from here I'm going to create a folder structure for this project. I'm going to create a folder called custom post grid, and I'm going to cd into this folder. Inside this folder I'm going to create a file called index.html. Now I'm going to open this with my text editor. I'll be using an extension called Emmet, which enables me to code HTML CSS much faster. For example, if I type exclamation point, I can expand this, and now I have a basic HTML starter file. I highly recommend this extension. Now let's start creating a layout. I'm going to create a div element with a class post grid main container. This will be a container for our posts. It's a long class name, but when you are working with child themes in WordPress, it's better to use long descriptive class names, so you avoid conflicting with existing CSS classes, and later on, if you need to revisit the project after some time, it will be easier to find your way around when class names are descriptive. Inside this division, I'm going to create a new div with class name post main container. This will be a container for our post. Here I'll add a thumbnail image inside another div tag, and I'll style it as an inline CSS. Later on, when we implement this in WordPress, this will be pulling a thumbnail image from WordPress media library, or to be more precise, it will print out the image URL from the WordPress database. For now, I'm going to use the free service to display a placeholder instead of a real image. So I'm going to use a CSS property called background image. and the URL is https via placeholder.com, and the dimensions I'm going to use are 300 by 300 pixels. I'm also going to assign a CSS class called post thumbnail container to this div text, so we can style the thumbnail image. We also need a text over the thumbnail image, so inside this div I'll create a paragraph with text category. Outside of this division, I'll create a paragraph with a class name post title style. Here I'll write post title goes here, and I'll also need another paragraph for the text that will display post date and category name again. This paragraph will have a class name of post category style, and here I'll write a date starting with month, then day of the month, and year, with a divider, and then category again. For now, this is just a text placeholder, which we will replace with PHP code that will dynamically populate this with actual data from the database. Let me comment this closing div so we know what this is for. And let me separate this a little bit. Now let's see what we have done so far. So far so good. Now let's start styling this. I'm going to put my styles inside this index.html file. First, I'll style the post grid main container. I'm going to use flexbox for this layout, so I'm going to set its display to flex. And we already see some changes going on here. Next, I'm going to style paragraph tags inside the post main container, div container. we have our thumbnail image width set to 300 pixels, so I'm going to set the width of this text to 250 pixels, so the text does not go beyond the image thumbnail. And I'm going to give it a padding from the left side of 10 pixels. So the content is away from the edge. Now let's style post thumbnail container div. I'm going to set its display to flex. Height to 300 pixels and width to 300 pixels, and align the text inside this div to center. Also, the paragraph inside this div needs styling. Let's set the width to 70%. Text color to white. And let's have a text shadow behind the text to make it stand out from the image background. I'm going to set the shadow to 2 pixels, and the shadow color will be black. Let's have text in capital letters. Make it bold. And let's put a transparent color around the text. RGBA. Let it be black. And transparency 0.3. And I'll need padding on this. Let's go to 20 pixels around each side. Now we have an image placeholder, but in production we might have images that are various sizes, so let's add some CSS that will take care of image thumbnails. Let's set the background repeat to no repeat. Background position to center, and background size to cover. Moving on to post title, let's style this section here. I will make the text bold. And for the post category style class we have here, I'm going to set the text to bold also. But first let's make the font smaller. 0.8 em. And let's make the font color gray. Let's go for 9C. Now let's duplicate this post layout a few times to see how it looks. We have a couple of issues now. Posts are displayed in one continuous line, and we need to set a space in between posts. I'm going to add a new line to post grid main container class. By default, flexbox uses no wrap, and I'm going to change that to flex wrap wrap. And for the space in between posts, I'm going to add margin to the post thumbnail container class. Let's go for 20 pixels on the right side. Now that we have our layout ready, we can implement this into WordPress. I'll cover this process in part 2. It will be up as soon as I finish video editing. In the meantime, if you have any questions regarding this video, feel free to write them in the comments section. If you find this video helpful, leave a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching and see you in part 2.